Hello, Green Team. We are on part 2 of 6 of securing a listing. Today is all about pricing a property. I would say pricing a property is probably the hardest thing to give you a step-by-step process for figuring out. You're going to hear me say it depends a lot today, which can be frustrating, but it's one of the most crucial parts of being a realtor and being a really good realtor. And luckily, it's one of the things that separates us from all the machines and automatic ways that properties get priced, because it does take some uh, intuition and some human knowledge of what is an acceptable comparable, what counts, what doesn't count. So that's some of the cool parts of pricing a property, but it's not easy. And any realtor will tell you that's one of the more challenging parts of our job. So let's go through the steps that we're going to go through today. First, we're going to talk about researching a property's history, and then determining comparable boundary, and then finding comparable properties, adjusting and explaining the comparables, and then preparing a price trend analysis. Now, we're going to come from the situation that we just had a getting to know you appointment. It's the first time we'd ever looked at the property. And now we are coming back to the office and we're going to try to price the property to tell the sellers what kind of range they could expect to get based off of the market conditions. So I picked just a random property here over in Red Canyon Ranch at 920 Carolyn Ridge Road. This is the Realist report for it. If you want to get a Realist report for a property, go into your MLS login. You'll click Realist and just search the address, and you'll get a report kind of like this. So up at the top of this report, I can see it's a 4-bed, 2-bath property. I can see the last sales price was $243,683. It last sold in 2011, and there's a square footage in there, a lot square footage in year built. Also, I get some info on the property owners, the subdivision, taxes, some characteristics about the house, and I can get even more sales data potentially if there are more sales in its history down below. And then I also get a nice little map of the property that gives me kind of a bearing of what I'm looking at. The other thing I would do, so this is 920 Carolyn Ridge Road. I can come into my MLS, and up here at the top, I can just enter in shorthand 920 Carolyn Ridge, and this will tell me if it's ever been on the MLS before. Potentially I typed this wrong, so let me just do it this way. What you want to do when you're searching in shorthand, you don't want to add any like road or drive to the end of it. You want to keep it as simple as possible, just the house number and the street. And you'll see it popped up here. And this is that same sales price. So the MLS number was right here. We're going to click and see what we can find out. So this was the closing price, which we already know. This is some info about the house. We can figure out who sold it. It was a new build at the time. You can tell it was 2011, and it was built in 2011. And you can click this little clock looking icon over here, and it'll actually tell us if it ever was on the MLS at another time. So we can see it was put on as a new listing here, and it sold. They basically marked it the same day, which means the builder put it in the day it closed, so that it would be in there for comps. But we would be able to see if it had a long history, like maybe this house has sold 3 or 4 times in the MLS, we would get to see all of those different sales through here. Now, how does that history help us? Well, it tells us a little bit about what we need to be comparing to. And importantly, we get all these characteristics in here that we need to know about if we're going to price this house properly. So the first thing we want to do if we're going to price a house, now that we've kind of got the info, is we want to kind of set our location parameter. And we always want to start from the addition. If we can work from the addition and get enough info, that's the best location parameter we can use. And that's what the appraiser is going to start with also. A lot of pricing a home is about figuring out what the appraiser is going to say the house is worth, because anybody getting a loan for that property is going to need an appraisal. And if it can't appraise, then we've got a whole nother problem to walk through during the contract. So we want to make sure we know what the appraiser is going to say. So this is Red Canyon Ranch. And I know this is a 2011. So I'm going to start with maybe just those 2 parameters. So I'm going to go to my matrix and I'm going to do a search residential quick. And I'm going to put in Norman just to make sure there's not some other Red Canyon Ranch that I'm going to hit. And I'm going to put Red Canyon Ranch. I'm gonna put an asterisk because that'll get me every phase that's ever been built there. And let's just say I want to look at the solds in the last 6 months so I can get an idea. And then we talked about year built also. We'll look at that in a second, but let's just put in anything in Red Canyon Ranch the last 6 months. We got 22 matches. We're going to look at the results real quick. We're going to select all, and we're going to do a one-line CMA. And this is going to tell us kind of what houses are selling for. Now, if I just wanted to blindly take this, I could say, okay, the average sales price in Red Canyon Ranch is $149 per square foot. Real simple, I'll price the house at 149 times the square footage. Boom, that's your price for the house. But what we need to do is go a little bit deeper and figure out what characteristics are affecting the prices in this edition. For instance, we have stuff that is a max of 181 and we've got stuff done at 130. So what's the difference? Let's look at what some of these 130s. Well, this 130 is a 2012. This one's a 2021, which is surprising. This 133 is a 2013. We get a 2016. And then let's look at the 180 is a 2021, a 163 a 2021. So we can see the age of the house is dramatically affecting the price per square foot. All these 2021s are well above the average price per square foot. So let's go ahead and adjust for our year. And let's say in our criteria that we just want to do year built of maybe, since we're 2011, let's go 2008 through 2014. That's going to give us a much smaller range. You can see we only have 2 matches there, but these are much better matches that we can work from. And you can see our square footage that we're working with over here in our realist report is 2346. And these are both really close, right in the pretty close range for what we need. But we probably need more than 2 comparisons. So I've got 2 options. I can either go back further in time, or I can make my year built range a little bit further. And we're going to try that and see if it has some dramatic effect on us. Let's see, we're still at 2, so let's go 1 more year out. And that's a 5-year each way, which is probably, oh, sorry, did that wrong. It's 5 years each way, which is about probably the most we want to do. So we're going to come to results and see if there's anything crazy different about these or if we can use them all. I selected all again, I'm doing a one-line CMA. And I can see price per square foot over my sold price per square foot. 3 of them look pretty solid. One of them's kind of way up by itself. So I kind of want to look back in here and see what could be the difference causing that. And it's got the same levels. It doesn't have a pool. It's only got a 2-car garage. Square footage is a lot smaller. So keep in mind, appraisers are looking at a 10% square footage difference. So our house is 2346. So they're looking at about 230 above and below that number, which puts us at 210 or 2100 square feet to 2600 square feet approximately. So we need to calculate that to make sure we have the correct square footage so we know what appraisers are going to be looking at. So let's do 2100 to 2600. In general, as the house's size goes down, like smaller houses are going to sell for more and more square footage. And if they're selling for, or sorry, more per square foot. So the bigger the house, the less per square foot they're selling for. So that's why that range is so important to keep it within that 10% range. We're down to 1 match all of a sudden. So that's a problem. So let's go back a little further. Maybe let's try a year and see if we've got a few. Now we're up to 6 matches. That's something we can work with. So we're going to take our 6 matches, kind of see what we're looking at, how different they all are, do a one-line CMA. What we're looking for is to get some consistency in these results. They're not always going to be the same number, but we just want some consistency that we can control the right things. So I'm looking at my sales price per square foot over here. I've got 124, 126, 130, 124, 132, and 128. I've honed in on my range, which is nice. But I do want to look at what's causing the higher ones versus the lower ones. So this 132 is my max. And if I look down here, I can see it's got a 2-car, no pool. It looks like it does have an extra dining area, but that's usually not a big effect on the price. But it is quite a bit newer than all the other ones. You can see here it's a 2016. So let's go back and try to control those years just a little bit better and see if we can hone in this. Keep in mind, we're only looking for 3 or 4 really good comps is really what we're trying to accomplish. And we're at 6, so we got a little room we can work with here. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to hone this in maybe back to 2008 to 2013. Well, it should be 2014. 3 above, 3 below, and now I'm down to 5. Let's select all of these and do a one-line CMA. And you can see we're kind of honing in on our price. We like that our minimum is 124, our maximum is 130, and our average is right in the middle, 127. We got it really honed in here to where we can start working with our range. Now, the only thing I want to look at here is just, is there any big difference that seems to be happening with the 130 and 128, which are the high ones? Now, if I look over here, this is a 3-car garage and this is a 3-car garage. And those are my higher price per square foot. All the rest are 124, 126, and 124, really honed in. These are 3 cars. What I need to know is my subject property a 3-car or a 2-car? If I come over here to my realist report, I can look down here and there'll always be this info down here in my realist report that gives me the different things. And one of them is the number of parking spaces, which says there's 2 according to the MLS. So if it's a 2-car garage, I need to be comparing it with the other 2-car garages. And in my one-line CMA, I can see the 3 2-car garages are this one, and this one. So not 3725 and not 808. So if I come back to matrix, I can click the 3725 and 808, refine, discard. And now I've got 3 really solid comps that are very similar to my subject property. And I can go to actions, one-line CMA. And this is something really good that I can use. I've got a 124, a 126, and a 124. Again, it's important that I walked through the property and know as much as I can about the house to make sure these match up. But they're all built within 2 years of the, 2 years of the subject property. They're all the same number of car garage, extremely similar in size in terms of square footage. So this is a really, really good price range. And these are most likely the 3 comps that the appraiser is going to use when they come out. So I like to be ahead of the game and know what I'm looking at. The only other thing I would do is if I know there is an effect, maybe I could only get 2 with a 2-car and 1 with a 3-car. I would adjust back down for that 3-car by looking at how valuable the difference is of having a 3-car versus a 2-car. And that's kind of a next level realtor thing and something you'll learn at the next step. But if you can learn this step for now to get a really similar group of properties and really try to get 3 properties, this is a great way to price a house and find your comps. I would take these comps and I would print them all out, agent fulls, and I'd put them in my leave behind, which we'll talk about here in a little bit during my listing presentation. And that way you can show the sellers, here are the 3 best comps, probably the ones that are going to be on the appraisal and going to justify the price range that your house will most likely sell in. So once I have these 3 comps, I'm going to complete what's called a price trend analysis. This CMA is great to have. It's something I'm going to store. But what's really cool is what Weichert has, and it's called a price trend analysis. And the difference between the CMA and the price trend analysis is, as you can tell, this CMA is more of a snapshot. These are properties all closed all over the place, 2 in October of last year, 1 in March. So they're more of a snapshot of what's happening. The price trend analysis actually shows what's happening to values in the area. Are they going up? Are they going down? Are they increasing rapidly? And that gives our sellers a better idea of where they need to price their house for the current market and where it's going. So I'm not going to go through the whole process of creating the price trend analysis. There's actually really good videos on Weichert on exactly how to create the price trend analysis, but I'm going to go over 2 things, including where to find it. You'll go into Weichert tools, and under tools and resources here, once it pulls up, you will see the let me find it for you real quick, price trend analysis right here. You can download this and open it up in Google Sheets, and you will be able to fill out all the information on the comps that it's asking you for. What we do with a price trend analysis is you actually find 3 houses that sold a year ago, 3 houses that sold 6 months ago, and 3 houses that currently are under contract or sold in the last 30 days. So it gives us that trend of what's happening to prices. And to learn how to put one of those together, you can go to Weichert University. And there's a whole package on creating a price trend analysis under this working with sellers, the price trend analysis. It will actually walk you through step by step how to build it. And when you walk in with your listing appointment with a price trend analysis and tell the sellers, hey, look, I've got the CMA that every other realtor in the world has, and that's right here. That's valuable info. But what I've got is the whole next step further. And this is a price trend analysis, which is actually going to show you the trend of what's happening to prices in your area so that we can make sure that we're pricing your house for the current market and what the market's going to be in the next 30 days or so that we make sure we're maximizing the value for your property instead of just guessing with a little snapshot. We're taking a much bigger array of data to price your home properly. And that information and that dialogue is all included in this price trend analysis training, which you will need to watch so that you can complete one of these. In our next video, we're going to go through actually preparing the doors presentation, which you can see is right here next to it, and getting ready for the actual step 2 of the listing appointment. I will see you guys in that next video.